Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, then welcome. My name's Christina, and on my channel we talk all things beauty from my own experiences. So before you guys go, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave any comments that you have for me down below. Today we're going to be doing a foundation video. It's going to be kind of a first impressions as well as a wear test, and the foundation we're going to be doing today is the brand new Makeup Forever HD Skin Matte Velvet Powder Foundation. Now I believe that this is a brand new formulation from their old powder foundation. I actually do have that one as well, and I'm curious to see how this one stacks up next to it. I have the shade 2N34, and this is a neutral undertone. I did a couple of swatches of this at Sephora, and this is the one that I assumed I would be whenever I was looking at them online, and it ended up being the correct shade for my skin tone. So there are several ways that you could use this foundation. I'll go over all of that, possibly test it out for a couple days before giving you guys my final thoughts. So it looks like there are 32 shades in this foundation. It retails for $43. You can get it on Sephora's website. I purchased mine from Sephora in stores, but you can also buy it online, and I'm sure you can buy it on Makeup Forever's website as well. So the highlights of this foundation: it is a pressed powder formulation. It can be full coverage, but you can also wear it sheer, and you can also wear it as a finishing foundation powder. It gives you a matte finish, and it's supposed to be waterproof and long wearing, and it's best for oily, combo, and normal skin. So it's not recommended for anyone with dry skin, and that seems pretty typical for a powder foundation. It says that this is a lightweight, medium to full coverage powder foundation that blurs the look of imperfections and mattifies for up to 24 hours for a natural, real skin finish. It says that this powder foundation is back with an even, silkier texture that melts into the skin for undetectable all-day wear with no caking or creasing. And as it states, and as I've said, you can use this several different ways. It says you need to prep your complexion with skincare and primer. Apply starting from the center of the face outwards, and if you want to use it to set the face, you can use a brush. If you want medium coverage or touch-ups, then you're going to want to use the white side of the included sponge. They kind of look the same. They're very similar. For full coverage, apply with the beige side of the included sponge. All right, so I just watched one of the videos, and it does say that the side with the logo, the spongier side, is supposed to give you more of that full coverage, while the back side is going to give you more of that medium buildable coverage. The back side of it does feel more like a typical sponge applicator, like it feels a little fuzzier, while the side with the logo feels a lot more slick and kind of smoother, so there's definitely not as much texture on it. So my game plan for today is I'm going to use the side that gives you medium coverage, because that's typically how I would wear a foundation. So I think I'm going to do medium coverage today, and then for the next couple of days I might try out this foundation again as a pressed powder, and I would also like to use it as a full coverage powder. Now, I'm hoping that I can do that. I recently got a puppy, and she is a handful. I have been so busy with her, so I'm really hoping that I can do that and get this out in a timely manner. I want to make sure that my skin is very well moisturized. So I'm actually going to prep my face. I'm going to be using my Embryolisse. My face is kind of flaky around my hairline because I tried a new sunscreen that my dermatologist recommended, and it's a mineral sunscreen, and for some reason it's really pilling on my skin. So I'm really hoping that doesn't affect the way that this foundation wears. I kind of have a feeling it will, but let's see what happens, shall we? And today I'm going to be underpainting, so I want to do all of my bronzer, blush, and concealer underneath the foundation, and if necessary, maybe I'll go in with like a cream blush or something on top just to intensify whatever's going on the face. But let's go ahead and start with the base. So I just got this Tower 28 Sculptino in the shade Getty, and I'm going to use this as my bronzer, and then I'm also going to use a cream blush. Where is the cream blush now? I have this Rose Ink cream blush in the shade Heliotrope. And I think for concealer today, I want to use the Anastasia number 11 Magic Touch Concealer. I've been just playing around with a bunch of concealers that I have because I have them and I should be using them. I also got this Sculpt Tape from Tarte. This is in the shade Warm Bronze, and I'm going to use this to contour. So I'm going to do contour, bronze, blush, and concealer to start off. So let's get started with those. I just love Tower 28. Their products are some of my absolutely favorite products. Ooh, she's pigmented. I might not even have to go in with that Tarte Shape Tape. Shape Tape? Sculpt Tape. I like this tone also. I just started using tretinoin literally last night, so I'm a little nervous about how dry my skin is gonna get, but hopefully I'm prepared enough to combat that. Let's go in with concealer. I want to put this down before going in with my blush. And then I also want to take it right under that bronzer to just give the illusion that the cheeks are more sculpted, you know? I've been doing this step a lot lately and I feel like it's been making the biggest difference. Man, a little bit of this concealer goes such a long way. And now to go in with this blush here. I have this Refer brush in the number 4. I've been loving this for cream blush. It just goes on so nice and airbrushed when I use this. And I am going really heavy-handed with all of these cream products because we're putting a powder on top of it. So I do assume that it's going to kind of mute out a lot of the color that we have and the intensity that's going on. Now, let's go in with the powder foundation. So let me do a swatch for you guys so you can see the color that I got. And whenever you press your finger into this powder foundation, you can really see just how smooth and silky it is. Seems like a pretty good match to me. Let's go in again with the back side of this sponge that it came with, and this is supposed to be the medium coverage one, and then we're gonna go from the center of the face going outwards. I'm gonna kind of go on the sides of my nose to begin with, and I'm only gonna use excess powder on my nose. I don't want to start on my nose because foundations in general can look really cakey on the nose for me, so I want to avoid that as much as possible. So I got a good amount. It looks scary. It looks really dark on there since it's so concentrated. She's dark. Okay. And I know that in the video they kind of go in a sweeping motion, so I'm trying to do that. I don't know about this, guys. Let's go on the other side and I'm gonna pat it in. It definitely looks darker once it's on the skin. I guess swatching just a little swatch on the skin yesterday wasn't enough to get like the full look of the powder, like the color of the powder. I'm never really a giant fan of using powder foundations as powder. I like to use them as setting powders mainly. From a distance, like maybe a foot or 2 feet away, it looks pretty good. It looks very velvety and flawless. So you can see here, the center of my forehead looks really blurred compared to this side of my forehead. Let me add it here so you guys can see real time how it kind of blurs the skin. Do you see that? I don't really want to put it right under the eyes, so I'm just gonna set that with setting powder later. Look, I have a scratch from my puppy. Maybe I just don't have enough experience when it comes to powder foundations, but do you see here, this is looking kind of splotchy right around this mole. And for some reason, I've been noticing this for a couple days now. Like when I put product on, this area just like doesn't take product. I'm adding more foundation and it still looks kind of different from the rest of my face. I don't know what that's about. Maybe we shouldn't consider that. Like maybe that's a skin thing that I have going on. All right, this is what the skin is looking like with, I want to say, a good layer of medium coverage here. And I went in all over the face except for under the eyes. I need to set that with just a regular setting powder. I should have prefaced and said that a lot of powder foundations I just use as setting powders, not necessarily my one and only foundation on the face. This type of application is not my favorite, so I was kind of expecting the look of this to not be my most favorite. I feel like it's very easy to get splotchy coverage when it comes to applying powder foundation with a sponge like this. Really any powder foundation. But again, maybe I just don't have the same touch as a pro makeup artist, you know, where I can make it look super flawless. At first, I was thinking my pores around my nose were getting really emphasized, but actually, the more I look at it, the more they look blurred. So really, most of the texture that I'm seeing is going to be on my forehead right now. Considering that this is a powder foundation, right? So powder foundations are going to look different than liquid foundations on the skin, obviously, because the wetness, I guess, of a liquid foundation, whenever you apply it, it always kind of smooths out the skin. But considering that this is supposed to be how it's finished, You know, I mean, it's looking pretty good. The center of my face is actually nice and blurred. I like that, but it definitely does look like I'm wearing foundation. Like it looks like a powder foundation. You know what I mean? Hopefully the camera picks up and you can kind of see like the texture as well as those blurred areas that I'm talking about. So I just set the under eyes, and now what I want to do just to see what it looks like is apply a little bit more blush, a little bit more bronzer to see if they go onto the skin well. A little bit more of that bronzer, just a touch, but let's do a tapping motion. Okay, that looks good. It doesn't look like it's messing with the powder at all. And I'm just using the Rare Beauty foundation brush, by the way, to apply more of this. Let's go in with a little bit more of that blush too. And I already have experience with this blush going on top of powder, and I know that it looks good. So, oh yeah, that looks great. Okay, so it went on top of the foundation really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyes, and then I'll be back to kind of chat about my first impressions and what I think about this, and then we will go into the wear test. Okay, I'm back. I did not have the intention to do such a fun eye makeup look, but I did. I don't know. I used this Kaleidos Sashimi City eyeshadow palette, and it's really, really pretty. It's like very wearable mattes, but also really fun shimmers. I don't know. I just felt like playing with it. I've had it for so long. This is what the face is looking like. So I am noticing that that cream blush added a lot of hydration to the skin, like you see right around this area. So I want to mattify it a little bit. Oh, and I also set the face with the MAC Fix Plus Stay Over Long Lasting Setting Spray. And I'm actually going to go in with a brush this time versus the sponge that it comes with, since I am kind of using it as a touch-up, not necessarily for coverage. So I'm going to be using this Wayne Goss number 13 brush. Just tap a little bit in there just to get a little amount, because this is quite a fluffy but also dense brush, and I'm just going to pat this right on top. Oh, I think it kind of accentuated that blush a little bit. I don't know, doesn't look the best in person. Just gonna take Cork from MAC. I just got this and I really like the shade of this. I'm gonna do Velvet from Lawless. It's the Forget the Filler Lip Plumping Lip Gloss. I don't like that. I don't like that with the eyeshadow. I don't think I like this eyeshadow look. Let me give you guys a close-up so you can see what the face is looking like. I do like the way that this matte finish is looking on camera. However, in person, after I set the face with a little bit more foundation, I feel like it kind of looks a bit cakey in the center now. So maybe I went in with just a touch too much foundation, because before that, I was actually kind of enjoying the way that the foundation looked. Everywhere else that I didn't add more foundation, it's looking good. I feel like once I used setting powder on top, it kind of helped with the texture that I was seeing on the forehead initially. The rest of the face is looking really nice. Now, I do like the way that all of my other products wore with this foundation. So the only area that I'm really concerned about is around my nose, like those pores around my nose on my cheeks. So I'm going to keep an eye on that throughout the day. I could see the texture being emphasized if you have more textured skin than I do. I'm not sure if you guys will understand what I mean when I say it definitely looks like a powder foundation on the skin. Like it has that same finish that a powder foundation would, where it looks like the powder is what has the coloring, versus if you were to wear a liquid foundation with like a translucent powder. I feel like that definitely gives you a different look. I will check in with you guys later to let you know how this wears throughout the day, because I'm super curious to see how this does. It feels pretty lightweight on the skin for a powder foundation. I mean, overall, it just feels like I set my face, you know, and it's just feeling like I have a regular face of makeup today. So that's everything for right now, and then I'll check in later with you guys to just kind of let you know how it's wearing. Hi guys, I am back. I'm looking a little crazy. I had to put the hair up into a clip because I was very busy doing a bunch of stuff around the house, and I also changed my lip color. I got this One Size liquid lipstick in Gloss Duo in the shade Mother Star. This is the only one I liked because I actually bought Be About It and Trade Finder as well, and I don't like those colors on myself. This one actually is really cute. Anyways, let's talk about this foundation. So it's been roughly 5 hours since I applied this foundation. I have since then given my puppy a bath. I've had lunch. I've been working. I've been outside for maybe like half an hour or so, like playing with the dogs. I actually like the way that this is looking more now than I did when I first applied it. I asked my husband earlier when we were hanging out downstairs, like what he thought of this foundation. It was a bit darker in the house, like it wasn't full on in direct sunlight. So I feel like whenever it's dim lighting, you can kind of see texture even more. But he was kind of seeing what I saw, like the same texture on my forehead that I mentioned before. And then kind of like around this area, he was talking about my texture. Maybe like 30 minutes ago, I asked him again, like, okay, what do you think of this? And he told me that my whole face, other than this area, looked oily. So this area, he said specifically, looked dry, while the rest of my face looks oily. But I think what he means is like this part looks like how my face normally looks whenever I wear foundation for X amount of hours. So this is normal, I think. And then this part is drier. But you can see on my upper lip that the foundation has kind of broken apart a little bit. Of course, I ate lunch and I, was drinking. I think that this wears better as time progresses than when it's first applied. When it's first applied, it looks very like there is makeup on your face and it's flat and matte. Even though I applied this foundation as a medium coverage foundation and I applied it the way that they suggest if you want the medium coverage, I feel like this gives me medium to full coverage. If you need a powder foundation that's going to last throughout the day, if I wear this for the entire day, which I do plan on doing, I can kind of see this possibly breaking up where my oils are really intense. But I actually want to go ahead and powder my face to do a touch-up, and I'm going to use a brush, the same brush that we used earlier, that Wayne Goss brush. I'm going to just dab the powder on right here. Should we do just one side of the face so we can see like how this does once it's touched up? Let's do that. I kind of like the idea of that. We're just kind of going on the fly here. I'll go ahead and do my whole nose though. Okay, there you go. So I went ahead and touched up this side of my face. It definitely mattified those areas where I was feeling like I looked really oily. I feel like the powder is clinging to those oils now versus absorbing the oil. So I feel like it's very obvious that I have foundation on top of oily skin. So we will leave this side of the face not touched up, while this side of the face, we'll see how it wears for the rest of the day. I can already say that I probably won't like this full coverage, so I don't think I'm even going to try that on camera. I may try it one day when I'm just like playing with makeup, but yeah, I don't see that being the way to go for myself. I don't know, I'm very torn about it, but we'll see how it wears for the rest of the day, and I'll update you guys later, and we will see how either side of the face ends up looking. All right, guys, I'm back. It's been 10 hours now since I've applied this foundation, and look at this. I just fell asleep on the couch and the foundation rubbed off right here. Not looking the best right now, but let's look at the rest of the face. This side is the one that we touched up with more powder earlier during that first check-in, and then this side right here is what we didn't touch at all. Now, as far as the finish of both of them, honestly, I feel like this side looks a little bit more oily. Like right here around the nose, I feel like looks a little bit more greasy than this side, which is very interesting since, again, we did touch up this right side and not this left side. It definitely looks cakey and a little obviously patchy right here. I didn't get to test the waterproof claim. It's definitely not transfer proof. I will tell you guys that part. It's looking a little bit patchy right here between the eyebrows as well. Like I can kind of see where the patchiness is. As a medium coverage foundation and this as my sole foundation for the day, I'm not a big fan. I'm going to be honest. I know that during the first check-in, I was very like on the fence about it. But honestly, at the end of the night with the oils and the patchiness and how it's looking a little bit more separated where my oils are, I'm not the biggest fan, especially for over $40. I feel like that's not the best finish that I could end up with, you know? Yeah, it's just looking crazy cakey at this point. Like anywhere that I add it, it just looks really bad. Like I just added a little bit more right here and it's just looking, it's starting to look gray. It's definitely looking heavier. So I wanted to show you guys what this foundation is looking like with a different form of application. So yesterday I decided to try this foundation out again whenever I was going out to dinner with some of my girlfriends, and I decided to use a brush with it versus the sponge, and I will talk through the whole process. But essentially, to give you guys the rundown, I loved the way that it looked. It looked super airbrushed. My skin just looked so soft and silky almost. And we ate out by the beach where it's quite humid, and it was about like 77 degrees last night. Maybe it dropped down to like 75 degrees, and we were on the rooftop, and my makeup lasted for over 6 hours. My skin looked amazing. If anything, it just looked better as time went on. Like I said previously, when I first tried this foundation, I feel like as it wore, it got a little better. I will insert some footage that I took yesterday whenever I was wearing it. When I first applied it, how it was looking on the skin, you can see just how like flawless it looks on the skin, and it just looks so put together and very, very smooth. And then I will also insert some footage of what my makeup looked like at the end of the night. I believe I took this footage maybe 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. So it had been a good 6.5, maybe 7 hours of wear for the foundation and my full face of makeup. And it truly looked so beautiful and airbrushed. It almost looked like I wasn't wearing any foundation, which I thought was kind of mind-blowing, since the first time I tried it, all I saw was powder foundation whenever I looked at my face. So the way that I did my makeup this time around, where I really liked it, I did underpaint like I did the first time. So I made sure to prep my skin with my Embryolisse cream concentrate, and then I went ahead and underpainted with that same Tower 28 Sculptino in the shade Getty. And I also used the Urban Decay Quickie Concealer. I have the shade 50NN, I believe, concealed under my eyes, or right under that bronzer, on my chin a little bit, and on my nose like I normally do. And then I followed that up by blending it out with a brush. And then instead of doing my blush underneath the foundation, I went ahead and waited, and I went in with the actual powder foundation. The brush that I used with the powder foundation is a rougher number 5 brush. Really anything that is a little bit fluffy, slightly dense, but it is more on the fluffier side. So I went into the powder foundation with this brush, and I started on the inside of my face, like the center of my face, and I went outwards. And I kind of did a combination of tapping as well as swiping motions, just to make sure that I got that foundation everywhere before I went in and buffed it out in circular motions. So I think I got about a medium coverage with the powder foundation whenever I first apply. And then immediately following the foundation application, I went in with another cream blush. This one was the Danessa Myricks Rosé and Brunch blush. This is really beautiful, by the way, super pigmented. And then I think the thing that made the biggest difference in the way that this foundation wore and sat on the skin was actually setting it, or spraying it, I guess I would say, with MAC Fix Plus. And I use this specifically to kind of just melt the powder foundation into the skin, really soften it and smoothen it. I don't exactly know why this works so well. It just kind of looks like it melts into the skin a little better, and it doesn't look cakey. And once it was completely dry, I again went in with the powder foundation, but this time I only took it in the T-zone. And the reason why I did that is because MAC Fix Plus can kind of leave you with a dewy finish if you don't like reset it. And I wanted to make sure that my T-zone was nice and set, but I really liked the finish of the spray on the rest of my face. So that's why I only took it on the T-zone. And then after all of that, I will go in with an actual setting spray. And this time I used the MAC Fix Plus Stay Over setting spray. Now you can probably use any setting spray that you like, and really you could use any like hydrating mist that you want to. And I really liked the way that my foundation looked yesterday. I'm telling you guys, it didn't look like a powder foundation at all. And I think the fact that it was a powder foundation helped keep the longevity of my makeup all night. I always have to set my face with a powder, so the fact that I didn't have to go in with a separate powder from my foundation, it just felt like my makeup looked even more lightweight and it absorbed the oil as the night went on. I don't know. I did it again today and I am super impressed with the way that this looks. So I would definitely recommend that if you're not the type of person that gets the look that you want from a sponge applicator when it comes to powder foundations, try a brush. It seems very no-brainer, I guess, and I was almost ready to write it off. I was really disappointed in the way that it looked with the sponge. I did the front and the back actually, and I tried it. I wasn't a big fan, but after using the brush technique and really going in and, you know, using the powder foundation that way, I am blown away with the way that this looks. I want to do a comparison with the older formulation. I do still have mine from years ago, and I want to wear it the same way that I'm wearing it here. I'll update you guys in the description box down below if I end up doing that, how that looks compared to this. This looks great. I have no complaints with this application technique. I would definitely recommend though to go in with something a little fluffier. You know, it can be a little denser. I don't think I would recommend like a kabuki brush, something that's really compact. Like for instance, this It Cosmetics Love Is the foundation brush. This one I think is a little too dense. I may try it just to play around with it, but I would probably stick to something that's a little bit more fluffy. Okay, so that wraps up this video. I hope that all of this information was helpful for you guys. I definitely didn't want to leave this video feeling like, you know, this powder foundation didn't work for me. I was really determined to get it to work for me because I really liked the older formulation. So I'm glad that I found a way to make this work. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, and if you have picked this up or if you plan on picking it up. If you're a powder foundation lover, let me know which ones that you really enjoy. But that is everything for this video. I hope that you guys found it helpful. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.